Hello everyone, and welcome back to MCPE 1.21.90.20. Better in preview update is rolling out today. And let's get started for today's brand new video. Okay, now starting for experimental features including user interface. The jump and dash bars no longer take precedence over the locator bar, will inactive in creative mode. Interaction button in creative mode, moving up for touch device such that it no longer covers the locator bar. Player dots in the locator bar now show correctly while using split screen. The item name tooltip is no longer cut off while the locator bar is enabled in creative mode. And player dots on the locator bar now shows correctly in third-person view while using split screen. Now moving on for features and bug fixes, we have leasing updates. We are expanding the functionality of leads to make it possible to lease any leasable entity to another leasable entity. By doing so, creating chains of leased entities. For Elytra, using a firework rocket to boost while flying with an Elytra now causes leased mobs to unleash. Now moving on for leash knots. Entities can now be leased to a pre-existing leash knot by interacting with it. Players can retrieve entities tied to a leash knot by interacting with it, and shears can now be used to remove leash knots. Another for leasing entities to other entities. Any leasable entity can now be leased to any other leasable entity. To lease an entity to another entity, the player must have an entity already leased to themselves and sneak and interact with the target entity while holding the lease. Leased entities can now be stolen by leasing them again, transferring ownership to the player. If releasing an entity will result in immediate leash snapping due to distance, the releasing cannot be done. To prevent erratic behavior when leased to each other, llamas that are leased no longer attempt to form caravans. A leased entity cannot be leased to itself. Baby mobs can only be leased one way to another entity. They cannot have other mobs leased to them, and we have a known issue. When two mobs are connected, it results in the lead being rendered with a erroneous y-axis offset and appearing below one of the mobs. For physics, all leasable entities now behave more naturally when being pulled. When leased to a happy gas, horses, camels, donkeys, mules, boats, chessboats, and snippers now adjust their position gradually over time, aligning smoothly with their leash holder when suspended mid-air. In all other cases, entities align to the direction they are being pulled and no longer behave erratically when suspended mid-air. Mid-air friction now applies to boats just like any other entity, meaning they can no longer orbit the player or behave excessively bouncily. The distance at which leashes break has been increased to 12 blocks, except for the happy gas, which has a leash break distance of 16 blocks. When dragged on the leash, leashed objects will now orientate themselves towards the leaser. The distance between centers of entities bounding boxes rather than their feet is used to determine the distance between two leased entities. For rendering, boats and large leasable mobs that cannot fit in the boat like horses, donkeys, mules, camels, and snippers when listed to a happy gas are rendered with 4 leashes instead of 1. In this configuration, the happy gas also features a custom rope layer warping around it. And the last, for shears. Shears can now be used on listed entities to unlist them, removing both incoming and outgoing list connections. Players cannot cut other players' lists, and dispensers can now be used shears to unlist listed entities. So moving on for blocks. For dry gas blocks, rarity is now common matching its ingredients. Crimson and warp roots cannot be lit on fire or burned anymore. Non-waterlogged dry gas blocks now only play ambient sounds when on top of a soil sand or a soil block. Fix-it issue where jungle leaves did not become transparent when setting all leaf types to be transparent. For commands, fix-it a bug where players could hear sounds played with /play sound even if they were in a different dimensions than the one the sound was played in. For items, the trident is now grouped with other tools or weapons in the creative inventory. And the last one, for vanilla parity fixes. Harness goggles will now always be down as long as the harness set happy gas has at least one mounted player. And that's it for this video. And thank you so much for watching, everyone. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I see you all to the next video, everyone. It's so funny right now. Yup. Anyways.